On a quiet day in a Melbourne garden, a 40-year-old woman knelt in the grass and did the hardest thing a daughter can do. She opened a small container and she scattered her mother's ashes into the soil, gently, like she was tucking her in. And as she did it, she spoke to her. "Sprinkling your ashes in the sacred garden," she said, "where we will be holding our final walk." That woman is Chloe Lattanzi, and her mother was Olivia Newton-John, the Sandy from Greece, the voice of physical and hopelessly devoted to you, one of the most beloved entertainers who ever lived. The whole world knew Olivia, but almost nobody knows what happened to the daughter she left behind. Because while we remember the icon, Chloe has spent the last 4 years quietly carrying something heavier than fame: grief, a promise, and a torch she refuses to put down. This is her story, and it's not the story you think it is. Stay with me. To understand Chloe, you have to understand how loved she was. Because Olivia Newton-John, at the absolute height of her fame, did something almost no superstar does. She stopped. When Chloe was born in 1986, Olivia put her music and her movie career on hold and simply went home to be a mother. She later said the first year or two of Chloe's life was the longest she'd ever been away from work, and that having Chloe was the most wonderful experience of her life. When Chloe was 3, Olivia recorded an entire album of lullabies just for her and put her toddler daughter right there on the cover. The biggest pop star in the world made a record to sing her own child to sleep.
And here's a detail that tells you how intertwined their lives were from the very start. When Chloe was 8 years old, she made her acting debut in a television movie called A Christmas Romance. In the role she played the daughter of Olivia Newton-John's character. Her very first time on screen, she was literally playing her own mother's little girl. Olivia said at the time that it was a hard lesson for her young daughter, that this was not a game, that the work was real and the hours were long. But growing up as the only child of a global icon was not the fairy tale it looked like from the outside. Chloe has been honest, remarkably honest, about the fact that the pressure took a real toll. The constant attention, the opinions of strangers, the feeling that she had to be perfect or had to be exactly like her famous mother. In her own words, she struggled for years with her mental health, with her sense of who she even was. "I felt like I had to be what the world wanted me to be," she said, "or I had to be exactly like my mother." She has spoken openly about those dark years, not to dwell in them, but because she came through them. And that's the part of the story that matters. Because through all of it, the bond between mother and daughter never broke. They didn't just love each other, they collaborated. In 2015, Chloe and Olivia recorded a duet together, a dance version of Olivia's old song Magic. And the two of them made history. They became the first mother and daughter ever to top the Billboard dance chart. They sang together, they performed together. Olivia kept telling her daughter over and over the same thing, that she was magical, that she should fly, that she should know her own worth. And then came the part of the story that changed everything. Olivia Newton-John had been fighting breast cancer for nearly 30 years, quietly, bravely, since the early 1990s. And by 2022, that long fight was reaching its end. So Chloe did something that tells you everything about who she really is. She set her own music aside. She stopped her own life, and she moved into her mother's ranch to become her caregiver, to be there every day for the woman who had once put everything on hold for her. The lullaby, in a sense, was being repaid. And in the middle of that final painful season, the two of them did one more thing together. Olivia officiated her daughter's wedding. The dying mother stood up and married her only child to the man she loved, one of the last gifts she would ever give her. During that time, there was a song. Chloe had been writing it for years, a song called Phoenix, about rising from the ashes, about surviving, about flying. She played a rough version of it for her mother, and Olivia, even as she was fading, listened to it and told her daughter, "Please finish this. It's the most beautiful song you've ever written." She would play it every day. She kept telling Chloe, "Come on, baby, put it out, put it out." But Chloe couldn't finish it then. Her mother came first. And on August 8th, 2022, Olivia Newton-John passed away. She was 73 years old. What followed for Chloe was not strength. Not at first. She has been completely honest about that too. More than a year later, she posted a video to her fans and said simply, "Since my mom's passing and the year and a half with her going through cancer, I have not been okay." She described feeling, in her own words, like an 80-year-old trapped inside a 30-something's body. The greatest love of her life was gone, and she was, by her own admission, lost. And this is where the story turns, because Chloe Lattanzi made a decision. She decided that her grief was not going to be the end of her. It was going to become her mission. She had watched her mother turn a 30-year cancer battle into something generous, a wellness center, a charity, a community. And Chloe realized she could do the same thing with her own pain. She could take the worst thing that ever happened to her and point it outward at other people who were hurting. She finally finished Phoenix, and she released it on September 26th, 2024, what would have been Olivia's 76th birthday. It was, she said, a promise kept, a promise to her mother to fly, to know her own worth, to be happy. For anyone who's struggling with issues of the body, the mind, or the spirit, she said, I want it to be a reminder that they are more powerful than they could ever imagine.
And the song was only the beginning. Chloe stepped into the role her mother had built, leading Olivia's Walk for Wellness, the annual charity event in Melbourne that has raised millions of dollars for the Olivia Newton-John Cancer and Wellness Center. Year after year, Chloe has flown to Australia to lead that walk, to keep her mother's dream of compassionate cancer care alive. She said it plainly, "I saw what my mom went through with cancer, and I want this to stop." Which brings us back to that garden. In 2026, 4 years after Olivia's death, Chloe announced that this year's walk would be the last one, but not, she insisted, the end of the mission. And so she went to the sacred garden in Melbourne, where that final walk will be held, and she scattered her mother's ashes there, in the place where thousands of people will gather to celebrate her. She didn't frame it as goodbye, she framed it as a beginning. "Please celebrate this last walk," she wrote, "as a new beginning. Energy must transmute, change, elevate, as we do, as nature does. So this is our last walk. Now we fly. Now we fly." The exact word her mother had given her, the exact promise inside Phoenix. And there is more of Olivia still to come. A major new documentary about her life is being made for Netflix, directed by an Oscar-nominated filmmaker. And Chloe is part of telling that story, making sure the world remembers her mother not just as a movie star, but as the healer and fighter she truly was. So what happened to Olivia Newton-John's daughter after she was gone? She broke. And then she rebuilt herself, exactly the way her mother told her to. She turned a lullaby into a caregiver's devotion, a deathbed promise into a song, and an unbearable loss into a mission that will outlive them both. They say Olivia's last word to her daughter was sunshine. If that's true, then it's hard to imagine a more fitting one, because that's what Chloe is still trying to be, for everyone her mother left behind. Not the shadow of a famous woman, the light she promised to carry forward. If this story moved you, stay with us. There are more like it here. The icons you loved and the people they left behind, and the quiet, remarkable ways that love refuses to end.